Silence isn't being nice. Avoiding that difficult conversation with your underperforming employee, it doesn't avoid conflict, it just delays it. And when you delay it, you make it exponentially more expensive. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, and wherever you happen to be right now. I'm Mike Voories, here to help you build a stronger team. Today, we're talking about the leadership tax, specifically the heavy daily cost of avoiding difficult conversations. You know, there's a massive myth in business leadership. The myth is that keeping the peace is the same thing as leading. It is not. When you tolerate poor behavior or low performance, your best people notice. They always notice. Resentment builds quietly. Your culture erodes, and employees, they almost always know that there's a problem, right? They're just shocked when leadership pretends nothing is wrong for months, only to finally explode when the pressure gets too high. Your team doesn't fear hard conversations nearly as much as they fear inconsistent leadership. Ambiguity is a leadership failure, so why don't we fix that right now? Let's talk about the pregame before you even sit down for these conversations. The biggest mistake leaders make with difficult conversations happens before they even enter the room. They let frustration stack up. Here is the operational reality of stacking frustrations. A team member starts showing up late. You say nothing. A week later, their attitude stinks. You ignore it. A month later, they completely botch a client deliverable. You finally snap. You pull them into your office and dump 6 months of grievances, attendance, attitude, quality, phone usage, into one highly emotional meeting. The employee gets defensive, the conversation derails, and you get nowhere. So here's the rule. One conversation, one issue, one desired outcome. Before you sit down, separate facts from feelings. And write this down. You must attack the problem, not the character. If you walk in and say, you're lazy and you don't care, you've instantly lost the room. That is a weak emotional attack. A strong leader relies on facts. You missed 3 deadlines this week and you didn't communicate the delay to the team. Check your temperature. The goal of this meeting is correction. It's not emotional release. It's not a venue for sarcasm. It's not about settling the score. If you go in hot, you lose all credibility. You lose control of the room. Know your exact desired outcome before you sit down and keep your emotions out of it. All right, let's talk about during the conversation. The business world has been poisoned by a terrible concept called the feedback sandwich. You know how this works. You try to cushion the blow by sandwiching a criticism between 2 compliments. You might say something like, "Hey John, you're a great guy, but your work quality has been terrible and clients are complaining. But I really love your shoes today." Stop doing this. It's a lie. It creates anxiety. Employees see right through it. Furthermore, human nature dictates that they will only remember the bread and completely forget the meat. Clarity is kindness. Don't soften the message so much that the employee leaves confused. A weak manager says, "Hey, maybe try tightening things up a little on the floor." An employee walks away thinking everything's fine. A strong leader says, "I need you showing up on time consistently, ready to work at 7 a.m. If this continues, it's going to become a much bigger issue." To execute this flawlessly, use this simple 4-step framework. Step 1, state the behavior and impact early. Don't try to bury this. You interrupted the client twice during the pitch. It made us look disorganized and it shut down the presentation. Step 2, the pivot. Once you state the issue, shut up. Ask them a simple question. Help me understand what's going on from your side, and then listen. Their response tells you everything you need to know about their self-awareness and accountability. All right, step 3, prevent hijacking. Poor performers love to deflect. When you confront them, they're going to try to turn the meeting into a grievance session about other departments, right? Well, if the sales team didn't sell bad jobs, I wouldn't have this problem. Don't take that bait. Acknowledge the redirect. Say something like, we can discuss the sales process later. Right now, we're talking strictly about your execution on this site. Keep the focus entirely on their behavior. Step 4. Clarify expectations and next steps. Co-create the solution. A vague agreement is no agreement. Try harder is not a metric. You need concrete steps. Starting tomorrow, you will send the daily update email by 4 p.m. Do we agree on this? Get the verbal confirmation. Navigating the emotional blowback, right? Leadership requires tension. I'm not talking about hostility or intimidation. I'm talking about discomfort. It's part of the job. You have to embrace the discomfort. When you hold people accountable, you will get reactions. You will face the crier. You'll face the defensive arguer. You'll face the silent treatment. Have a plan. If an employee gets upset and starts crying, hand them a tissue. Give them a minute, but don't overly apologize, and don't backtrack on what the problem is or water down your feedback just because they're emotional. That doesn't help anybody. If they give you the silent treatment, let it be silent. Silence is perfectly okay. Most managers hate awkward silence, so they start talking just to fill the void. When they do that, they inevitably walk back their own boundaries. Don't do it. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. Above all, keep your cool. Losing your composure simply hands them control of the room. A calm, steady leader is the most effective force in business. And then the aftermath, closing the accountability loop. A conversation means nothing without follow-up. Most leaders have the hard talk, breathe a sigh of relief, and assume the problem is solved forever, but it rarely is. You must establish a paper trail. Always document the chat. This doesn't have to be a formal HR write-up for a first offense. A simple email summary works perfectly. Something like, per our conversation today, we agreed on X by Y date. Let me know if you need any resources to make that happen. This protects you and ensures perfect clarity. There's no, I didn't know, when it's in writing. Next, build the accountability loop. You must be willing to escalate if there is no change. Empty threats are the worst thing that can happen, right? Empty threats are even worse than silence. If you tell an employee behavior must change or that there's going to be consequences and the behavior does not change, you gotta act. If you don't, your team realizes your words mean absolutely nothing and your authority is gone. But remember the flip side. If they fix the behavior, praise them. Seriously, praise them. Give genuine recognition. Close the loop positively. When people course correct, they need to know that you see it and appreciate it. At BR1, we work with companies every single day on recruiting, retention, and culture. And I can tell you this with absolute certainty. You cannot out-recruit a bad culture. We hear business owners complain constantly that people just don't want to work, or they blame the challenging labor market for their turnover. But when we look under the hood, we find a leadership issue. We find a manager who refuses to have a difficult conversation with a toxic employee. And what happens? The toxic employee stays. The A players, the people you desperately want to keep, they get fed up carrying the dead weight, so they're the ones that leave. They go work for your competitor. You didn't lose an A player to the labor market, right? You lost them because you refused to have a 10-minute conversation that might have been a little uncomfortable with a C player, right? You lost an A player to protect a C player. It's not smart. No organization can grow faster than its ability to recruit and retain enough of the right people. But to retain the right people, you must build an environment where accountability is the standard. If you want to become a premier, sought-after employer, you have to be willing to lead. You have to stop paying the leadership tax. If you're tired of dealing with constant turnover, if you're struggling to build a culture of accountability, or if you simply need help finding and keeping the right people to scale your business, That's exactly what we do at BR1. We help organizations stop making excuses and start building operational excellence through their people. Check out the description for details on how to connect with us. Stop letting conflict avoidance dictate your company's future. The conversation you're avoiding today is the exact culture problem you'll be complaining about 6 months from now. All right, until next time, keep building your stronger team.